Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect One Word Conversations. One Word Conversations is a self-discovery, relationship building conversation designed to invite you to look at your language. Many times, we can come up with all the lovely words that we can think of and still find ourselves in a place of disconnection, mainly because words just don't come with definitions. They come with feelings and emotions and expectations and a lot of other things. But if we're willing to have a one-word conversation, we can learn a little bit about ourselves, the person that we're speaking to, and maybe, just maybe, build a relationship. One Word Conversations is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to help you be yourself and live your life. One way I spotlight what's available at I Am William Brown is our U cards. Our U cards are intention setting cards, and they're also a game. And they're a part of the Beyond the Shell series. Beyond the Shell series is a couple children's books, Finding You Beyond What Protects You, and The Journey to Stay You. So go to IamWilliamBrown.com/the store and get yours today. The words that I picked, the cards that I picked for this conversation is I am curious, you are kind, and the quote card is be you, do you, for you. So with our intention set, I invite you to like, share, ask questions, do all those things to let me know that you are also a part of this conversation. And we go from there. This is another day of surprises. So there is a surprise today. My guests wanted to be surprised about our word. So I'm not going to tell you the word until I bring my guest on. So as I do, I invite a guest in so we can have a conversation. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am great. This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable to them.
Well, thank you so much, William. And my name is Maria Romano. I am a relationship consultant and minister in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I guess you can say I'm the Princess of Love. That's what people have dubbed me as. I'm a minister. I've transitioned for over 11 years. I decided I wanted to do something different from my previous life. I was in the rental car industry for 30 plus years with my late husband. We sold it. And I wanted to do something different. And it is because I get to meet couples all over the world, all walks of life, and marry them. And then from there, when I lost my husband, Frank, I was transitioned into the world of waiting a few years and deciding to go back into that love journey. Well, the love journey, when you were married for 30 plus years and out of it, it's like going back to the future. So,
Right. Wow.
And yes, and that's when I realized there were a lot of people that want to find love, either have gone through trauma in their life or divorce, widowed, widow, or whatever stage it is, or they just keep attracting the wrong individual. So I started working and helping men and women with a roadmap, a game plan to finding love.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for being a part of this conversation. And so this is the moment where I introduce the word. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to kind of take it all in. And so I'll put the word in. So the word today is society. How does the word society land for you?
Interesting word. I expected love. You're like, wow, I was bracing myself. But I guess when I see the word society, I think of people gathering. Okay. And for me, my first thought is people in a social setting and maybe having some alcohol and just people dressed up. So when I think of society, but it goes, beyond that.
Right. No, I totally get it. we are definitely in a mindset of figuring out how we gather, especially being in Las Vegas. That's just like gathering there, that's a society within in itself right there. But for me, society, the reason why I picked this word to unpack for myself is that I want to figure out where I fit in the society, where how am I a part of? I do a lot of talk of self-discovery and self-awareness. But the reason why I believe that's important is so that I can be a contribution to society. It's not just for myself. It is to move out. And so really, I'll just say it. Sometimes, I look outside and go, yeah, I don't want to hang out with those people, right? I don't want to be a part of that society. I want to find another society. But I think the more that we just, um, I guess, appreciate who we are and understand who we are, I think we can roll in any society. And that's how it shows up for me.
When you was talking about right now about society and hanging out with people, and you've heard of Maya Angelou,
Yes.
excuse me, and she had interesting. I'm trying to remember a phrase, is "You belong nowhere, you belong everywhere," something to that effect.
Mm,
And what happens, you said sometimes you don't want to hang out with people. Sometimes we feel that if we're put into a certain social situation, we
right.
feel uncomfortable when you think about society.
Right.
And that's the uncomfortableness that we manufacture within ourselves.
Right. Hmm.
So, one of the things that I love to talk about is whenever you're walking into a situation where you're not comfortable, take your love tribe with you.
Mm,
And your love tribe of people that could be living currently, people that have passed, people that were your biggest coaches and cheerleaders, and take that, and you have the confidence walking in. But society, sometimes we place, value. We're looking at people, we're looking at situations, and we don't feel like we're good enough or worthy
right.
enough because they might have more money, right?
Right.
More stature. Really, at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Right.
We're all the same. And some people might have more experiences than others, but that doesn't make it any different. And I think you have to reach and step outside of your comfort zone
Right.
because we learn from others. And then, of
Right.
course, we retreat back and we like to go back to our clan, where we're
Right.
safe and nurtured.
Right. Yeah. I think that I love the take your um what I heard is that your love squad. I don't know. I
With your
don't think
love
you said
tribe,
that.
your love
Your love
squad,
tribe, right?
yeah, change it,
Squad came out,
whatever.
right? Right. But and they go with you all the time, and I think that I really I really get that because there is um, for me, I have monkish tendencies, right? So it's like I rather be by myself and roaming in the woods and and just kind of just me and God, right? Just kind of just there. But I recognize that there are opportunities, and I don't want to say there's a demand. I don't know why that word is coming up for me, but that the world really needs me to be in it and not just hiding out somewhere, right? And so taking my love squad, the people that I admire, the people that are cheerleaders for me, and just showing up in the world creates society, creates community, creates I think what we say that we want, because sometimes it feels like um, we are. Um, I'll just say myself. I feel like I'm a victim of society, right? There is some, people have decided how I'm supposed to live or how I'm supposed to show up, and I just have to deal with that decision. And so how I can show up as myself and make a difference in it is something that I want to do, but sometimes I feel like I don't know if it's a worthiness thing, but it feels like there is a harder way to make an influence on society.
I think it's interesting what you say, because people expect you to be a certain way, right? You have,
Right.
like you said, you showing up. So we have this perception that we've automatically, and you used labels before we got on the show, right? So, for example, somebody might look at your picture, somebody might look at my picture, and have a perception about you or about me. But
Right.
when we actually show up, sometimes there's a slight surprise.
Right.
I'll never forget, many years ago, one of my dear friends, Rita, I had met her over at one of the health clubs, and we were taking a class. And I was the type of girl that, hey, I'm like the mayor. I want to meet everybody and
Right.
welcome everybody. I'm so inclusive, not exclusive. So when she sat down, she goes, I thought before I met you, Maria, that you were just one of these trophy wives. I said, trophy wives? She goes, and I found out you're nothing. You ran your own company, your husband was ill, and you took care of them, your mom. And I said, that's what happens is we have these labels.
Right.
So then when we actually start peeling back under the label, then the prize starts to appear, right? When you
Right.
get those coins, and that's what we need to do. We need to show up, and we need to be able to share what our purpose is. Like you said, you like to go in the woods and talk to God. And I like to go meditate. I like to pray. But
Right.
then I realized that I also have giving of myself. There's a gift, there's a talent. And
Right.
when you find your purpose and share it, that's where you will have society that's going to gravitate towards you. Not everybody.
Right.
Okay, we can't be all things, but
Right.
you will find your tribe.
Right.
And then you'll go out again and maybe get into an uncomfortable situation and grow from there, and then come back and share with your tribe.
Right. I think really that there was a word that I unpacked a couple weeks ago. It got kind of crazy, but it's coming up for me right now. It's judgment, right? And it's like sometimes when we miss each other, right? We miss how connected we are to each other and how we can be there for each other in society, in community, and in our tribes because of our judgments. And it's really, I think my guest, and I don't want to like call him out or anything, but he was like, my snap judgment is right 75% of the time, and I'm okay with that. And it was like, uh, it's not good enough, right? It's like really, um, I wouldn't want to miss you because that first 75% judgment that I had, of you was wrong. Um, and so, but I held on to that judgment, and now we can't be in tribe. We can't be in society with each other because I'm thinking that you're something that you're not. Because I didn't go beyond your labels. I just kind of said, okay, this is who Maria is, right? Without any other information, without talking to you and everything. And I think it feels like that's how our society is showing up for me right now, is that we are so busy with, I don't know, the pandemic, politics, or anything, that we don't have time to get beyond our labels. We're just like, okay, this is what's happening in our society, in our country, and we're just gonna deal with it or not deal with it or be mad about it or something, and not really a feeling that we're contributing to making the society or the tribe that we want and that we want to be a part of.
That's interesting. You're talking about that. We can get mad, or we can just we're involved in our own little sphere, and we can sit down. We can look at a situation, whether it's politics, whatever's going on, and get annoyed at it. And that's what. And really, as one person, it's like taking a toothpick to a trunk of a very large 100-year-old tree to try to chop it down. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So take the toothpick away, and be more effective about what serves you, what's going to nurture you, like it's what's going to fill your cup when it comes to society and judgmental. And
Right.
we, unfortunately, we do have labels that we put on people, and I think it happens early on when we're
Mm.
younger, and we might have heard whoever influenced our life, maybe it was your parents, maybe it's your grandparents, whoever it was, and somebody might say, oh, so and so is coming over, I have to, they're a little too heavy, or so and so is coming over and all they talk about is politics, or well, or all about themselves. So we have these labels on people, and then as we age and experience life, then we meet people, oh, yeah, that person's just like, and we automatically label that person without giving them the opportunity to find out who they really are. We just assume.
Right.
So when people meet me, and for example, I go out and speak, and I speak about love, but I also speak about love in the workplace. So a few of my talks that I debuted, I had people come up to me afterwards and say, I loved your talk. I loved what you talked about, but I thought you were going to talk about personal relationships, right? They
Mm.
had labeled me in one area, or I've gone
Right.
out on dates and men have labeled me, well, she's a minister and she's a
Right.
love coach. So and when they really start peeling, they take the time to peel back the layers. And not just me, this is just an example. When you
Right.
take the time, you're giving yourself the opportunity to get to know somebody.
Great.
It's a gift. It's a gift.
Right. Right. And it's and I think that's how we really have a society, right? That we have, because there's that relationship with each other. And I think, having a society of love, it's like, what does that look like? How would I want to see that? Love is so, um, it's like, simple, but not easy. There's such an expanse of, for me, how love shows up for me is that there is so much weight to it. We say things like love can conquer all, right? But then at the same time, we reduce what love is to something, just romantic or just familiar, um, um, type of thing. And so I think it's fascinating to look at relationships in the work environment, and just kind of really understand how we can, um, I don't know, just show up in our work and not just be, um, clogs in the wheel, right? Or just, or just kind of do that. But human beings show up relating to each other.
That's, you know what, it is so true. And we're kind of like cogs in the wheel. When I talk about love in the workplace, I'm talking about extending empathy, caring, and understanding
Hmm.
to others
Right.
in a way that fits you so you can achieve the level of recognition, self-worth, and success.
Right.
And it does mean extend, because people need empathy, caring, and understanding.
Right.
And that's something that we need to survive, because
Hmm.
we also need love to survive. So I want to tell you a quick brief story.
Okay.
Uh, Dr. John Bowler, who worked in a British orphanage after World War II, noticed that young children who lost their parents would often die before the age of 2.
Hmm.
Okay. And they had everything they needed in order to survive. And he came up with an explanation. And he believed that these children were dying because of the lack of love from a parent.
Hmm.
And their hearts were so broken that they could no longer sustain life without a loving connection. So just like food, water, shelter, you need love. And when you go into the workplace, and let's say, for example, just the team of people you work with, or your vendors, if you're a sole entrepreneur, there are times,
Right.
and we've all been guilty of this, where we'll walk in and say, okay, William, I know he's having some issues with his wife
Right.
or his work. I don't really want to hear about it today. But if you actually take the time to extend that empathy and walk over and say, William, how are you doing today? I've got a few minutes. You can label, you can say boundaries. I've got a few
Right.
minutes. How are you? How can
Right.
I help you? And when
Hmm.
somebody hears that, there's that connection. they feel like you value them. And when they feel like you
Mm,
value them and you understand them, there's going to be more of a cohesiveness and a unity and a collaboration. And you just start with one
right.
person at a time. So love in the workplace, there's so many. When I say love and you speak to HR managers, there's a team
Right.
of lawyers that want to descend upon you like, oh, wait, I'm not. But really, we need to take it beyond that. Now, if we can take this into politics, then we can really. So,
Right. That transforms our society, right? That
mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, it is, for me, when you first said it, because I was like, I know she's going to explain this, because I was like, geez, um, dating in the workplace, why are you like encouraging that? And it's like, that's the first thing that went through my mind. But it was like, it's like, okay, it must be more than that, right? It has to be more than that. But it is, we get so conditioned to think, because of love, it's, like I said, it does include, empathy and compassion, and listening, and all those things that, sometimes, look, I've been an entrepreneur, for almost 20 years now, and so when I was in the workforce, I was really, let's just say, um, my friendships were like a bonus. I was there to work. I could care less who and that's just how I showed up. I don't know why that's how I showed up, but that's how I showed up in that environment, because there was so much. I was in environments where there was so much drama. There was so much, people doing nonsense. And it was like, you know what? I'm getting paid to work. You guys do what the heck you're you're doing. And so what I realized, from what we're saying, looking back, I had no listening for the human beings that I was working with.
Wow, that's powerful when you think about it.
And
You're
and it was
you were missing out, weren't you?
Yeah, and I was missing out. That's why it's like, I'm gone, so the hell what, it's like, and just kind of just move on. But it's like, really, what would happen, if people really not just love their work? We have to get people to love their work, or invite them to do that, but to love the people that they're working with.
That sentence in itself is big and powerful. So one of the exercises that I recommend when you're in an environment with a team of people, like I said, whether you're a solo entrepreneur, right, or you're working with a group of people, is if you have a retreat or have some time in the afternoon, take time out, go to Dr. Gary Chapman's website. He wrote the 5 languages of love, the 5 love
Right,
languages.
right,
Just take the quiz, give it to everybody,
right,
okay? And you'll find out how they want to receive recognition, praise, and love.
right,
So for you, you might want to receive recognition and praise and love by getting time off.
right,
Patty over there might want to have a bonus check.
right,
And Mary Jo might want you to praise her in front of everybody.
right,
Once you know how they want to receive praise and love,
right,
you have a
right,
better understanding. And it just starts with the collaboration. And
right,
you're just a matter of taking the time and seeing beyond your sphere because you're
right,
too busy worrying about the numbers, the quotas.
right.
And when you have a great team that's going to help you, that's going to help you be successful with your external clients because the people you work with are your internal clients.
Right. Hmm. Yeah, I really get that. Most of the times we don't know. Look, I've been married for over it'll be 30 years this past January,
Congratulations.
and I'm still figuring out that love thing, right? It's like, it's just kind of big, because you stay in conversation. We've taken that. My wife, she it's like, I love her. But when we did that assessment a number of years ago, and we might need to do it again, she was so close to like everyone, So it was just like, well, just do them all, right? You know what I mean? Just like, and she's good. Just show love in the house and we're good, right? But sometimes, words of affirmation will kind of take the lead, right? And it's so it's I think that's a noble exercise, and to kind of do it, and like I said, especially in the context of work or society, to be out in public. Most of the times we use those words of love and connection, um, to people that we know, like family and friends. And I would always give Facebook, a hard time. It's kind of funny because I'm broadcasting live on Facebook and talking bad about Facebook. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine about that. It's like, that is just so crazy. It's like, doing rants about Facebook on Facebook, but here I go. But that when before Facebook, friends meant something. There were some people that I knew, acquaintances, and there were my friends. There were a small group of friends, that I had, and I used that word sparingly. Not everybody's my friend, or now they're Facebook friends, or they're they're LinkedIn followers, or whatever. And so it's almost, it's trivializing it for me. It's trivialize what a real friend, because some people say, well, I'm a friend in real life, so that means a little more than Facebook. It's like, let's just be, you're my friend or you're not. And if we really embrace, um I guess, the label as friend, and there's love there, and there's appreciation, and there's respect, and there's compassion, then we can create the society, right, that we want to be a part of, that we want to be in, that we can thrive in. And I think, sometimes, like I said, we kind of add on to these words, or give them more meaning, and we miss what they really mean for us.
It's interesting you talk about friends and talk about, well, first let's back up to what you said in the beginning about your wife and the 5 love language test, right?
Right.
5 languages of love. Well, it's interesting because in relationships, you're married almost 3 decades,
Right.
right?
Right.
And actually, we change all the time. So every so often, relationships, they need to have a software update.
Right.
So it's true. Because your goals might change. What you want in life has changed. That's why taking that test, like you said, sometimes affirmation, sometimes acts of kindness. So it just depends, or quality time. Now, in light of COVID, a lot of us have had too much quality time.
Right.
And therefore, right, relationships have sometimes have gone hazarai only because you had so many other distractions in your life. You worked out, you went out with your friends,
Right.
you maybe took separate trips. So you had that break. You don't have that break.
Right.
So now you're home, and you have to figure out how that's going to work. Then we're going to have to figure out how to get back into society. So you're talking about friends. We might have a plethora of Facebook friends, okay, people
Right.
that we've allowed to share whatever we're posting in our life. And
Right.
I think that's one level of friends. That's one layer. But when you get into really close friends, who are the people, you can look at your 5 fingers and figure out which ones are your friends that are going to really be there and show up for you.
Right.
But show up for you not when they're just cheering you on because, William is at a pinnacle. He's at a great point in his life. But how about when William is not feeling good?
Right.
How about when William is laying on the couch, or William has COVID, right? Or whatever the situation is, or somebody in William's family is not doing well. So those are people that I call them family friends. I mean, really, because they're part of family.
Right.
And that's, to me, is something very exclusive for how I attribute. And then, of course, with COVID, we had a lot of friendship fade.
Right.
There are people that you used to connect with all the time, and now they're just not there. And it's great to be able to send a text. I think using your phone, sending a text is fabulous. But you know what? It's fabulous when you can pick up the phone, because
Right.
right now you just can't show up in person. I had a young gal at my house last week, the 12th. She works for one of the ABC affiliates. She was doing a story about pandemic and dating. And she moved here. She's been out and she's been a journalist for a while. She just moved to Las Vegas a year ago. So I had her in my home and socially distant. And I said, I'm having coffee. Would you like a cup of coffee? She goes, Coffee with you? I said, yes, with me. She said, do you know that it's been 11 months since I sat down and had coffee with somebody? And
Wow.
I was profound, profound. Think about
Mm.
it.
Wow. Mm.
So,
Wow.
friends, we have friends mean a lot of different things. This is a girl that I knew, and you know what? Now she's my friend. And maybe it's one word that you post on Facebook to
Right.
somebody, that one word
Right.
to someone at the time that really motivates them or it really impacts them and they feel a connection to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I really get that. I think um there's sometimes we don't realize. I'm sorry, I'm speaking for other people. I don't realize. It's like most of
I
the times when I
understand.
speak for other people, it's just it never ends well. So it's like I try to just speak for myself. Um, uh, but sometimes I feel that I figured something out, or I'm experiencing something, so everybody's experiences or nobody's experiencing it, right? And so it's just I go to that extremes, and so I don't have that conversations. And so really looking at, there are some things that we were doing before the pandemic of going out and have coffee, or just kind of sitting and talking and just connecting about something, just kind of shaking people's hands. I don't think I've shook anybody's hand in almost a year, or something. So it's just stuff like that. I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago. Our word was emergency, and somehow we were talking about hugging, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm a hugger, and I haven't hugged anybody, in almost a year, and so it's getting to be an emergency." And I was like, okay, what are you gonna do, just like kind of like break down the door and start hugging people? Or she says, I don't know, but it's getting to the place. And I really, we are a part of each other, right? We're more, even though I frame this as disconnect to connect, right? I believe in certain cases that we are never disconnected. We just feel that we are. We just, something is happening. There's just an awareness of a space in our connection. And the more that we really get that we are connected and we are a part of a society, and there is love and respect that is possible, then we can show up for each other how we need to show up for each other. And I think that, look, I think a part of that is self-awareness. But I don't, I, I don't know. I don't, there's so many things that distracts me, that keeps me from being aware of myself. And so I don't show up for people.
Hmm. That's interesting that you feel that way,
Mm.
that you don't show up for people. Well, just getting back to your friend when you used the word emergency, right?
Right.
A few weeks ago, and how we hug each other, shaking each other's hands. So just take a moment and think about little things. How about birthday candles on cake, blowing them
Mm.
out,
Right.
right? Are we doing that now? Ash
Right.
Wednesday, they didn't even give out ashes,
Right.
they sprinkled them instead of on your forehead. So
Wow.
society, so what's happened is we've altered what we have done in order to come up to whatever the standards are for
Right.
today. We hope we can get back to what it was. And I think when you start having these alterations in life,
Right.
like not being able to hug somebody, instead of going to somebody's birthday, you do a drive-by. Well, I come from New York City. A drive-by means a shooting. Okay.
Right.
So, you have, right, you wear a mask, you never go near somebody, and you have people. So look at what's happening. That's a disconnect too that has occurred. And I think
Right.
when we go through a disconnect within ourselves, William, it's almost as if we have a puzzle in front of
Right.
us and we're trying to put these pieces together. And
Mm,
that disconnect is just us taking the time to figure out a little bit more about how life has affected us, how
mm,
we've learned maybe
right.
from certain experiences, and then that puzzle starts coming together.
Right.
And then when that puzzle fits, is then we get to a point, I'm ready to show up, because you want to show up in the best version of you.
Right.
Because it's not, and we say this because we want to give to others, but when we give also to ourselves and show up as the best version, we
Right.
know that we're doing that for others.
Right. Yeah. I use different language than you of the best version. I have invited myself and some of the people that I coach to not look for the best version of themselves, but consider that when they are themselves, that's the best. And it's like most of the times when we don't show up fully, and when I don't show up fully, I'll speak for myself, is that I'm not being myself. I'm being who I think society wants me to be. I'm being who I think there's the expectation around how I should show up, and that's not my best. And then they miss me, and I miss myself. So yeah, I think it's like we're talking the same language, but it lands a little different for me. We all have access to ourselves, but are we willing to do that inquiry, to know ourselves on a level that we do want to share and to be a part, of, if it's a society of one, right? Right, because there's sometimes I'm not trying to make light of multiple personalities, but sometimes it seems like I have to get my team in order before I like talk to anybody else, right? It's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, guys, right? What I mean? It's
Well,
like,
that's funny that you say that about society in order, but yeah, authenticity is what you're talking about. It takes time for, I think, individuals to be authentic,
right,
and we have this facade, right? We talk about judgmental, we talk about labels, right? We talk about, so, and then it's important that when we get past that, to just be authentic.
right,
I mean, and that takes time. I think that takes experience. It takes the people that you surround yourself with,
right,
and being comfortable with who you are. Because when you're
right,
comfortable with who you are, then you can show up,
right.
and you can allow yourself to be it's differently. Let's take dating, even though you've been out of the dating world, but
I
that's a
know
big
it's
thing. Or right, or you're showing up as a speaker. You're getting out there to speak, and you're thinking, well, how do I have to be? How do I have to get into that? Just be you. And the same thing with dating. I say the same thing. Show up and be you.
right,
Show up and be you. Don't worry if they like you. You need to like them.
right,
And that's what happens. We're too busy trying to have people fall in love with us. I like to use that term.
right.
And when people fall, that's a whole lot of energy. That's like having a bad date. When you go on a
Right.
bad date, a person just talks and talks, and it's like, oh, I'm never going to go on the second date with that. Well, the same thing occurs when you just learn to listen. You learn to show up and actively listen, and
Mm,
that person feels like you value them, and or if you're out there on a date, you listen to them. If you're out there in the speaking world doing a presentation, whatever it is, and just authentically listen to them and have empathy. You'd be
right,
surprised how that connection could occur. Not that you shouldn't brag a little about yourself or talk about yourself, but there's a
right,
time and a place. I think we're too busy trying to say, hey, this is who I am, and this is, so just, I am too, as somebody, and again, I've had that label put on me so many times, and I want to hear how you are. I want to hear. I want to give you a word one day, and just and it could be you. But I get an idea. you're so you're a genuine person, and you want to be out there for the people that you love, the people that your clients, to help them be authentic, and you have to be authentic.
Right. Absolutely. I think we can talk about this for hours, but
Oh yes.
society is calling us, right?
Right, I see the
um,
time.
is there
It went
anything
by.
that's come up in this conversation that you want to leave with everyone?
Well, I first of all, I had a great time talking about society today, and we went all around the gamut. That's one thing I have
Right.
to say about society. And one thing is, there's a couple of things I'd like to end with. I think it's important that we take a leap and move forward in our life, and not be afraid to embrace life, and to also try new things, experience new things. Because what happens is we allow society sometimes to bog us down, because we don't feel we're good enough, worthy enough, right? Or
Mm,
wealthy enough, or young enough, thin enough, whatever it is. And we need to be able to still move forward, and understand that we need to make ourselves and put ourselves in situations we are welcomed everywhere.
mm,
Okay, and just because, not to think about what other people are thinking. Okay, we shouldn't assume all the time.
right.
And just, I think also too is, I always live by the four agreements.
Okay.
You have to just, your word is your Bible, and don't always assume. Take advantage of opportunities, and give your best as well. And I think that's the main thing. Enjoy life, embrace life, and try to have empathy, caring, and understanding for others, but also make sure you have empathy, caring, and understanding for yourself,
Mm,
because
right.
sometimes we sabotage ourselves. We are our own worst, biggest critics. So when you get up in the morning, you need to thank God for who you are, whoever the higher being is, and also to, you know, recognize that you are a wonderful individual, strong person. You've got a lot to offer yourself and others.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much. This has been great, Maria. Um, Hope you can s- say our goodbyes in the green room, but this has been a great, lovely conversation.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, what came up for me is that, love your neighbor like you love yourself. That's a part of the Christian scriptures. And really, in order for us to love the society, right, the people in it, there has to be a level of self-love. There has to be a level of self-awareness. Do you love yourself enough to be in society, to be in a tribe, to be in community with each other? That's what this moment is inviting for us. I hope this conversation has brought value to your life, and not just today. I invite you to reach out to me at IamWilliamBrown.com for a complimentary coaching session to help you be yourself and live your life. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go be you.